All right, everybody, we are live. Here we go. Welcome everybody to the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart Shattered Book Launch Party live stream. I hope everybody ready.
Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, we're ready.
Sure. Okay, everybody. Before we get started, let me introduce these beautiful people on this panel right now. Let me introduce Ali Lopez, Mr. International Leather Bear 2019.
Mm.
We have Wyatt Evans, writer, podcaster, and YouTuber. And if you want to check out his website, you can go to Wyatt Evans, WyattEvans.com.
You got it, buddy.
All right. And
Yes.
we have an amazing stream for y'all. The first portion, we're going to interview Wyatt, asking him some probing questions about his book. The second portion, we're going to have Joshua, who is the creator of Sidekick Productions, coming. And we're going to have Marcus, who is a great singer. If you never heard of Marcus, you need to look him up. Everybody's social media is in the description portion below. So, like I said, if you don't know what they do, there ain't no excuse.
That's right.
Okay, well, let's get started with the question portion and interview portion of this live stream. I think Ali had the first question he wanted to ask.
Yes, I do.
Oh God.
Isn't that scary?
Yeah, it is. I'm scared to death here.
Oh,
Seriously.
don't be. Don't be. You know I got
Oh,
your
don't
back.
worry, I got a curveball for you, so you
Oh
should be
God.
scared.
Oh Lord.
All right, my first question.
Yes.
What does the bear or big boy mean to you? What bear or big boy means to you?
Hold up. You jumping ahead, Ali. You jumping ahead, sir. That's the
Oh,
discussion portion, sir.
oh, I'm sorry.
Nah, no worries, no worries. No worries at all.
Okay, hit me with something else.
Okay, I'd hit you with a question.
There you go.
All right.
What was your writing process? And was it different between the first book and the second book?
Oh man, that's a really good question. Again, I write the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels. The new one is Shattered.
Yep.
Getting great reviews thus far. Um, there was a gap of several years between Frenzy, the
Yes.
former edition, and the new one, Shattered. And I was going through some stuff in my head. So that's another reason why I didn't. It's been a few years between both of them. But the difference in the writing process with Shattered is I was even more introspective.
Mhm.
I took even more time to evolve the characters. And I put even more thought into it. So I think the writing, there's such an intensity throughout Shattered. People are
Mhm.
telling me. I think my whole writer's process was even more intense. So there was just more intensity. Um, yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I have to say something about that because after reading the book, uh, personally, I had some feelings that came up,
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
which good writing does that. I love to, if
Yes,
you look
it
in the
does.
background, I love to read. Uh, but one of the things that definitely was present was the realism. So I have to commend you on that because it really gave me some feelings. And I don't want to give too much away,
Right.
but damn.
Right. Because like I said, I read, because you sent me your first book and
Right.
read that. And I can see like the development between the first and the second book, like miles. Because, like I said, you know more, you get to know more about the character, which a second book should do anyway. But you added so much depth and so much characteristics to each character. Like, oh, okay, that dude fits him. I can see him doing that. So,
Thank you so much for saying that because you're absolutely correct. It's I put much more of myself into it. It's
mhm.
like when I was writing it, I was peeling back layers of myself. It was like peeling back the skin. So yeah, this is more intense. This is more involved. This is more personal.
Okay.
On that segue, I
Uh-oh.
would like to ask my question.
Mm.
Mhm.
Which of the main characters, Wes or Tonio, are you most likely and why?
Oh God! Everybody asks me that, and Ali, that's a great question. I am part of both of them, but lean more towards Wes. Wes is big-hearted, good-natured, philanthropic. He can wear his heart on his sleeve. He has his entrepreneurial spirit, and I'm a lot like that. Now, Tonio also has a big heart. He's fiercely loyal. He has a quick temper, and sometimes I have a quick temper as well. So, yeah. So, I would say three-fourths West. No, 60% West, 40% Tonio. Or no, 65% West, 35% Tonio.
Okay. Well, I say 90% West.
Well, well.
Hmm.
Okay, JB, Mr. Butler.
But you probably touched on this in the other question. But what inspired you to write "Nothing Can Tear Us Apart"? Shattered.
Oh, okay. Well, people had come to me and said, "When in the hell are you writing the sequel?"
Hmm.
So that I really wanted to do that. I felt like that was something that I really needed to do, and I wanted to evolve the characters,
Right.
and I wanted to have in Nothing Can Tear Us Apart Shattered, you have Wes who finds out that he has a son that he never knew existed. The son is this raging homophobe, right? And
Hmm.
he thinks that Wes abandoned his mother when she was carrying him, which wasn't the truth. The mother lied. The mother disappeared on Wes, and he never knew that she was pregnant. So I wanted to show this contentious family drama, this contentious relationship between father and son. And it's really good soapy drama. It's realistic. And my dad died was like when I was like 5 years old, so I never really knew him. So I wanted to kind of explore a father-son dynamic, but for the drama, for good quality drama, I needed to make it contentious, and I wanted to throw a curveball to the audience because they're saying, we thought he was openly gay, but back in the day, he was fighting
Hmm.
against being into men, if you know what I'm talking about.
Right.
So, he was trying to fight against all of that. So I wanted to show all of that. Um, and that was the reason for that.
Okay.
And once again, you touch in something that is very personal to me because at one point I was going to get married.
Okay.
So I know that that world in you grow up being fed this line or not fed this line, but you grow up not knowing who you really are.
Right.
And society is telling you, you're gonna grow up, you're gonna meet the girl, you're gonna get married, you're gonna have children, and all the societal pressures are shown in here. And again, you've done an incredible job because it shows that you actually done the research,
Okay.
Right.
and it's
It does.
very, very now. If you understand what I mean, is it gives you
Relatability.
a real exactly uh, something that you can relate to, not just in the gay community, but
Mm-hmm.
outside of the gay community. This is something that can be relatable.
Hmm.
Thank you for saying that, Ali, because in order for an author to be effective and successful, the story has to be relatable to the reader. And that's really called authenticity in your writing. Because, for example, Wes, one of the lead characters, the black guy,
Hmm.
wealthy black entrepreneur, because of emotional trauma, he splits into an alternate personality called Walker. And Walker's a bad motherfucker. He's the polar
Right.
opposite of Wes. And the guy
Right.
is crazy and deadly to the core. So what I did was I actually had a few sessions, several sessions with a psychiatrist because I wanted to be able to realistically talk about DID, the splitting, like All About Eve, becoming a different personality. So I tell aspiring authors, you got to write about what you know, and you've got to research it because the reader isn't stupid. They know when something isn't real, doesn't come across as being real. So you got to do your research.
And nowadays, people will fact check. It's like that's not what that do. That's not what it does, or that disease doesn't do that. People, people are so nitpicky. So, like I say, writing with what you know, you don't have to worry about that.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Oh, I'm doing pretty good so far. Come on.
Your turn, James.
It's my turn. Oh,
It's
okay.
your turn.
Well, you just said something about your father, uh, related to the book and stuff like that. What I know. Have you dealt with other issues that you put into the book with your father?
Um, Again, I never knew my father. He was like 5 years. I was like 5 years old when he died, and the last image I had of my dad was being at the funeral and seeing him. He was in his mid-40s. He had aged so much because what happened was he and my mother didn't get along. So he left when I was like 3. He died when I was like 5. And when I went to the funeral, he was white. He looked like he was 70 years old. I don't know what happened, but that
So
image.
you had like an image of your father stuck in your head, and when you saw it, it was a totally opposite of what you saw when you was young.
Yeah, because like I said, I barely remember him, but I know that when he left when I was 3, he looked like a 45-year-old man. But I guess he had so much hard living in 2 years that he looked like he was in his 60s or his 70s. And that the white hair and all of that just will always stick with me. So with Shattered, I just wanted to explore a father-son relationship, particularly the son who's teenaged, who is straight, his father is gay, the son can't deal with it, the son's a homophobe, he hates the father because he believes that the father left his mother for a man. So he's got so much shit going on in his head, and he's had a hard life because he went from one foster home to the other. So even though Wasim, the son, is a hellion, you can still relate to him.
Yeah.
You have to. This brings up another point. When a successful author has to make each character relatable in some way, even though he's a horrible person, the reader has to know that there's something about that character that is relatable. There's got to be a core of something good or misunderstood to make that character not so one-dimensional, if you understand what I'm saying.
Well, that's the thing about relatability is you don't have to go through it personally, but you may know somebody that's going through it.
Right.
And I remember watching some YouTube or listening to a podcast. It says reading something and absorbing something. Like I said, you may not be going through it, but you may get the tools to help somebody else from reading the book. So I thought that your book would be like a great tool. Like some people may be going through that, or like I said, Susan down the street know their grandpa knows whatever going through the same thing. It's like, okay, I can offer something because I read this book, or I can offer some tools that help the situation. So like I said, relatability is a strong thing.
Oh, I'm glad you brought all that up because another theme in the book is the aftermath of intimate partner violence and abuse. Because what's happening in the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels is that Wes Antonio. Wes is Black, Tonio is Latino. They're fighting hard to keep their monogamous relationship alive and thriving. But what happens is in the previous novels, Tonio batters Wes because he believes he's cheating because you've got this drug lord who has a vendetta against Wes who sets Wes up to make it look like he's cheating. And Tonio, with all of his insecurities and whatever, batters Wes. So I wanted to talk about intimate partner violence and abuse,
Mm-hmm.
which is domestic violence and abuse within our community, and is more prevalent than people think because
Yes.
I'm a victim way back in the day. And I was able to pull out. I'm a survivor. That will never happen to me again. And as a journalist as well, I write about it a lot, but I wanted to put that in novel form to make it maybe more palatable for people to know about it and to understand it and acknowledge that it happens.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole IPVA, the acronym of intimate partner violence and abuse is IPVA. So the whole contentious father-son dynamic, the mental instability in the IPVA are the major themes of Shattered.
Right.
Uh, may I interject on that?
Sure.
Because I think one of the most important aspects of your book is showing that. And I thank you for doing that because, just like you said, there's so much going on in our community that is unspoken. And that's one of the things
Mm-hmm.
that is unspoken about, not just physical abuse, but mental.
Yeah.
The reason why your novel, at some points, I had to put it down is because it gave me PTSD
Oh,
from a relationship. One of my first relationships was very emotionally abusive. And I saw those aspects in that book. It gave me a flashback of being in a relationship like that. And it was like, I need to walk away for a minute and process this because this is real to me. Even though I never went through the physical part, the reality of being in a relationship that puts you in that mindset where you think that it's all your fault, that you're not good enough. It's very important for people to understand and to seek help from it,
mhm.
because our mental health is very important. And if we don't take care of it, we don't find the people that are there for us, you're going to continue to be in that hell.
Yeah.
And that to me was very impressive. And it left a mark. It really, I have to commend you. Again,
Right.
is that was very realistic.
Man, look at here. Why giving people PTSD, Lord?
I'm so sorry. I'm really just so sorry.
Because
Well,
since I'm a person that never went through that, I saw it more of a soap opera kind of situation. You know how like your mom sitting there and she be yelling at the screen like, "Why would you do that? What's going on?"
look,
That's how I was with the book.
two things I have to say. First of all, readers are telling me, "Why is this so intense? Why is it so intense?" I said because that's the way I roll, and this
Man.
is real life. And
Right.
Exactly.
and also when Tonio batters Wes, Wes dumps him for a while. They get back together, but they don't get back together until Tonio has one-on-one therapy and they have joint therapy together because there's no excuse for intimate partner violence and abuse. There's no excuse. So I had to, and I went to see a psychologist about this
Mhm.
beforehand, before I wrote. I
Right.
wanted the reader to know that there was no quick fix, that they just weren't going to get back together and get lovey-dovey again, that they had to do the work.
Mm-hmm.
And a
Yes.
lot of couples
Don't.
don't do the work, and even if they do the work, they still don't make it. But these two guys have an abiding love for one another, a deep love for one another, And that's why it resonates. Shattered is resonating so well with both our community and the heterosexual community, because you've got these two individuals who are working hard to keep a monogamous relationship together.
Okay, my turn.
Uh-oh.
Oh yes.
Oh Lord.
And let's talk about sex, bang bang.
Yes.
Let's talk about you and
Yes.
me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be.
You can sing. I like that. Mr. Lopez.
I couldn't pass it up.
See, Ali karaoke night carrying over. See the.
That's right.
Bye.
What was the inspiration and why so graphic?
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I like sex. I love it. I like sex. I like thinking about sex. I like, writing about it. I've always been earthy, raw.
That's right.
And look, this is what we do. This is what men do. Meddling men, right? So the sex scenes are very graphic, and I'm proud of them. I had such a great time doing them. But if you notice, that's just the icing on the cake.
Get your Kleenex, people.
Right. 2, 4, 5.
Well, I prefer a wet rag, but that is me.
That'll work too. Listen, I like my wet rags warm, lukewarm, not too hot, not too cold,
not too cold.
Yes, right,
just perfect,
right.
It's like,
but yeah, I mean, you got Tonio and Wes who are really deeply in love. So having graphic lovemaking is necessary. Mm-hmm. Now, some of the peripheral characters also are getting their things on as well. So sex is good.
Oh, yes.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Well, here's another question. But this is more about relationships. Do you prefer monogamy?
Okay. At this point in my life, yes. Because for me anyway, jumping in and out of different beds gets old really quick. And I really believe that as you age, and if you want to be coupled with someone, it can't be all about the physical. Right. Granted, we men, straight, hetero, whatever, we're very visual. We are very visual. The physical is very, very important to us. But I believe that as we grow older, if we're sane, we realize that good looks and the great body will fade. I don't care how often you go to the gym. I don't care what supplements you take. Look at Arnold Schwarzenegger, for example. That's going to fade, and you need someone, even for a fuck buddy, you need someone who is relatable and have those inner qualities and characteristics that match yours.
Don't forget the chemistry.
Exactly.
Chemistry is important.
Absolutely. In this point in my life, monogamy 20 years ago. Well, yeah.
Okay. We got time for one more question, then we gotta get to the second part.
Okay.
All right. I think we touched a little bit about this before, but how do you describe your writing process?
Oh, that's a good question. Okay. And I get that a lot. What I first do is in my head conceptualize the basic story. Like for example, with Shattered, I said, okay, this is a continuation of Wes and Tonio, their love story. What can I do to evolve it, add to it, make it different? So I said, hey, back in the day, he was bisexual. He had this kid he didn't know. Let's bring him in the mix. He will be great for more drama. So you've got to conceptualize in your head what the story is. Then after that, you want to write a 25-word elevator pitch that encapsulates exactly what the story is about. Just 25 words. And if you can't do that, you have a problem. Because, for example, when you do events like this, or you're doing talk shows or whatever, you're not going to have a whole lot of time. So you've got to tell the viewer what this story is about in 25 words or less. Then after you do that, that's the basis to create a synopsis, which is like a page and a half, which fleshes out the story. You know, it builds on that 25-word elevator pitch. Then you create your outline. So once you've got all of those tools, you can start writing. So you're writing 1 draft, 2 drafts, 3 drafts, maybe 4. And as you're doing that, you're editing it. And so when you have the draft that you think is going to work for you, you put it through a review group. You know, you put it through a review group because you guys were part of my review group. And I really want to thank you for that, because you all could have been doing something else. So I appreciate you doing that. So when you get the results from your review group, you look at it again and say, okay, maybe I'll change this. Maybe I'll change this. Maybe I won't change anything. And then you do for me, I do my final edit, and that's it.
All right.
In the same question line, something real quick. Personally, when I usually get my ideas whenever I'm either working out or working in the garden. How do those ideas come to you? Because I know it has to be a relaxing process for you to get that bleep on your head. Right. And do you go and write it right away, or do you work the possibilities in your head first?
Well, I'm going to tell you a funny story, but first I'll tell you what I normally do, because a lot of my stuff comes at night. So what I will do is I have my iPhone near me, so I'll either record it or I will do a quick email to myself with those thoughts. When I was writing Frenzy years back, I remember I was with this guy and we were having some great sex. Excuse me. It was at night. We were having some great sex. Boy, Lord have mercy. It was good. So anyway, I'm like in him, right? And all of a sudden, I'm getting these thoughts, right? I'm getting these ideas. I'm getting these ideas for the novel. So I'm trying to compartmentalize, because these are good shit. This is some good shit. I said, I don't want to lose that, but I don't want to lose this feeling either. So
that's good.
As soon as it was over, I jumped out of the bed.
I'm getting a towel, I swear.
Right. Yeah, right. I jumped out of bed and I went to my phone. I was typing shit. That was so fun. That was so funny. I was compartmentalized. I said, I can't lose this, but I can't lose the feeling. I'm
glad I asked that question. The image I have in my head is amazing.
You
lived it. There. So you lived it. You were there. So you just have to leave it to the imagination.
Okay. You're bad. Wow. Okay.
All right, everybody. This is the end of the first part of the live stream. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll come back. And we got 2 special guests coming in. So just hold on for a second. We'll be right back.
Hey,
all right,
gentlemen, thank you so much, Marcus and Joshua, for showing up. How are you?
Right.
Doing great. Thank you so much for having us.
Man, it's my pleasure. Thank you for doing this.
Look, awesome. I gotta tell you. Well, I interviewed both of these beautiful gentlemen coming in, and I gotta say, Marcus, And like I said before in the beginning of the stream, if you haven't heard him sing, you are missing out.
Thank you.
Cause I don't know, like I said, I don't know if y'all playing around or y'all, but y'all need to follow this man. And like I said, same thing with Joshua. He makes wonderful content. Like I said, he's the founder of Sidekick Productions. He does amazing web series.
I
So,
see.
like I said, I got his link below. You can watch his web series, and like I said, you will be amazed about what they do.
I'm following both you guys.
Yes.
Thank you. It's a lot of fun to create what we get to create, and I really enjoyed hearing your creative process. I know that when I'm writing, things come to me whenever I least expect it. So really for
Like
you as
like
well.
it did for me.
Boy, that's a play in words. Come when it's least suspected.
Well, like I said, Ali gonna take over this portion because he was so excited to answer ask people so good questions.
I bet.
So Ali, I leave it to you, sir.
All right, thank you very much.
Mhm.
I'm Ali Lopez. For those of you that don't know me, um, question number one: what does a bear or big boy mean to you?
Well, I'll go first.
Okay.
It means courage. It means, well, people flaunt this word around, positivity, loving yourself, accepting your flaws. Because, like I said, everybody got flaws, big, small, in between, whatever. Um, and that's pretty much it on my end.
I have to agree with you there. You know, the courage, openness.
Hmm.
I think accepting yourself as you are, particularly body image wise, being positive about that. You know, not worrying about, you gotta, be Mr. Muscles and working out in the gym like 24/7. Um, so for me, I like that in a bear, big boy, and just on the physical, as my mother used to say, I gotta have me a man with some meat on his bones.
Period.
Yep.
Are you
Thank you.
are you feeling me? Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Okay.
I'll say all those things are true. Um, back in the day, the big boy archetype wasn't that desirable. Openly.
Hmm.
Um,
Right.
even when it comes to heterosexual things, the big man or the big woman was to be hidden. They were the side that no one knew about or that you ignored in public. Um,
Hmm.
but nowadays, the allure of having someone who just isn't like 6% body fat, or having someone who weighs above 150 pounds.
Right.
Um, there's I think people realize that underneath the whole stigma of weight and or being really hairy and all of these things, um, are some pretty dope people, you
Yes.
know. And I think it's really helped that the online group community is so diverse in personality, because some are sex workers, some are some do that kind of work, but are also authors and
Mm.
photographers and gamers and bloggers and dentists. I've seen, even, what I'm saying, like, there's so many aspects to what a big boy looks like, acts like, all those
Mm.
things. Like, there is no set piece.
Right.
Um, I think people are really showing themselves as multi-dimensional beings. Like, yes, I am a big guy. Yes, I am a fair guy. But I'm also very thoughtful. I'm also intellectual. I'm also goofy. You know. So it's
Right.
really cool to see the diversity of all of these. content creators, influencers, but also activists, all of it. All of it.
Well, I would like to add on to that, well, what you just said. It was acceptable when back in the day if you were funny,
Yes.
if you were a gag, if you was the goofball in the TV show or movie,
Hmm.
they'll love you then. But when you try to do a serious role, they really like, no, we need somebody with not necessarily muscles, but we just don't want a chubby person.
They didn't see the beauty in it. They didn't see the
Right.
beauty behind it.
Now,
Yeah.
Joshua.
I think that everyone is pretty much um, echoing what I would say. I think that what Marcus has said is really particularly important because uh, so many of us grew up with, as James was saying, there was one role, and that was the funny person, and then that was it. Or usually, for the men, it was the funny person. For the woman, it was the sad best friend.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was sort of that was it. So most of us grew up without sort of people role models to look up to, but now there are so many of us becoming the role models that we wanted when we were younger that we didn't have. There's so many of us becoming singers who before The Voice you wouldn't or things like The Voice or American Idol you wouldn't see necessarily a lot of plus size singers. You wouldn't see that with actors doing roles. Uh, there's so much that we are doing now to create a world that we didn't get to grow up in, and for the next generation to be able to see a world that they belong in.
Uh, I would like to add to that. Uh, it's good to see role models, just like you said, that actually are beyond just the funny or the sidekick or
Right.
uh, things. People like Sam on Game of Thrones,
Hmm.
who happens to solve the problem how to kill the White Walkers, was a big guy. Uh, many I can't think of his name, but the guy in it was this island. Can't think of the Lost. On Lost, the big
Yes.
guy
Hmm.
was
Yes.
actually
Okay.
Hurley.
the smart guy. So it's nice to see people that look like us that have something to contribute instead of just being the weak one, the one that they pick on and so on and so on. Because me growing up, I was tried to be bullied when I was a kid, but I had martial arts training. I also had two older brothers, so I had to defend myself.
Mm.
Once I defended myself, they're like, "Oh, wait a minute, he fights good."
Yeah.
It's like,
He's
uh,
scrappy.
exactly.
Yeah.
So
Scrappy.
we are much more than just the smart guy, the funny guy. We are everything that everybody else is,
Hmm.
Great.
and we have to be able to own it and not be afraid of owning it. And
Hmm.
at least for me, that's the way that I live my life. I try to make sure that I lift others up, as well
Right.
as try to make sure to respect others uh, in the process, because not everybody's ready to be lifted up,
Hmm.
but you have to make sure that you mentor those that need it.
Right.
All right,
Absolutely.
next question.
Uh-oh.
What are some of the misconceptions about big boy bear community?
Oh, big boys. Either well, this was back in the day. I don't know about now, but like they smell. I heard that
Oh,
plenty of times.
Ah,
yeah.
Like, like no, sir. We bathe just like y'all do.
I'm,
actually we smell better because we are more conscious of what
thank you.
I'm
we are more conscious.
actually
And,
smelled it. I'm like, actually, hello.
right. Yeah, I heard that growing up, certain grown ups and stuff like that. Um, what other that we don't make good lovers. Heard that before.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Right.
My
Uh,
anaconda don't want none unless you got buns, hun. Thank
Right.
you.
But
You're bad.
I like that.
like like stuff like that is because it comes out of people trying to make fun of people.
Hmm.
Like everybody doesn't smell. Like you had one off day, suddenly, you know what I'm saying? They make that person the butt of the joke, especially a fat person. That's why I said we are more conscious because we don't want that stigma on us. Like, okay, make sure I wash my areas twice. Make sure I put double D cologne. Make sure I put double D deodorant and
Hmm.
stuff like that. But it's a shame that we get put in a category, but everybody else get to be their free
Mm,
selves.
yeah.
So
I'll say that we, as big boys, big men, have low self-esteem off rip.
yep,
I think a lot of people
yep.
got tied up in, again, old movie tropes and TV tropes, thinking that even in 2023, that we'll just take any old thing just because you smile at us, or because you leave a nice comment, you know, that just one person is all we're gonna get, or that whatever compliment or whatever half-baked compliment that you give us is going to be sufficient into getting whatever you want from us. It's
Hmm.
really weird, because it kind of shows, even though it does, sometimes it's like it counteracts the fact that we are multi-dimensional people. That it's almost like a dehumanization thing. I was like, actually, no, you're not that. You're actually just
Hmm.
to be fetishized, or to be um, again put in a box.
Hmm.
But a lot of people out there are very confident in who they are, very confident, very have done the work to say, this is my body, whatever it looks like, however many pounds it has, it's beautiful and I love it. Um, Regardless of what I look like, this is what I do in my career and I'm killing. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And
Mhm.
people, I think it's really starting to show now that again, a lot of us have done so much work into showing, because social media allows us to kind of portray ourselves in a way that before social media really hasn't allowed us to. But it shows that like everyday people, like we some of us got our stuff together too. Some of us actually, we're big, but so is our check. We're big, but so is
All
our
right,
house. We're big, but so are our ambitions and goals.
right,
We're
And
big, but so is our personalities.
yes,
right.
You
Mhm.
know, we have so many incredible people in our community that unfortunately many of them were bullied
Hmm.
growing up, and the potential that they have is untapped in many ways. We have to try to promote and try to help people to lift them up where they belong, because as many of us know, some of them were bullied by our own families
Yeah.
uh,
because you were the chunky guy. You were, even though you were as capable or probably more, because actually I could outrun some of my brothers. And my brothers were, in top shape. And here's a kid that was like 4 feet tall when he was 11 years old with size 11 shoes. My nickname was Sasquatch.
Oh.
Uh, but
I'm
I still could
satisfied.
play football better than most kids older than me. I could. I was scrappy as hell,
mm,
and I never let anyone tell me what I couldn't do. But one thing that I couldn't get away from was one of my uncles telling me that I was ugly, I was fat, until once I joined the military and I went back to Puerto Rico. The first thing that he tried to do was to tell me, how ugly I was. And I said to him, I looked at him straight in the eyes, like, you might be my uncle, but if you ever talk to me like that, you and I are going to have a problem and you're not going to like the solution. because I am done being your whipping boy.
Hmm.
No one tells me how, fat or ugly I am, because I am a man now and I will kick your ass. And he shut up. He like, and from there on, he's like, oh boy, not messing with him again.
Exactly.
You have to put your foot down sometimes.
Absolutely.
Joshua?
No, I mean, it's I think that is probably the biggest misconception, is that we will be grateful for anything we get,
Yeah.
because we don't deserve anything. So
Hmm.
therefore, whatever we get will is something that we'll be very grateful for. I think that even friends growing up, they didn't even know that they were bullying you or being mean to you or teasing
Yeah.
you when they would talk about what you were wearing or not wearing in the pool. Like I remember this one time, we were, because I started filmmaking very young, of course. So we were making a movie for class, and we were doing something on Greek mythology for an English class, and we were wearing togas, and I was in eighth grade, but the people I was working with to make it, they were making fun of how I looked in the toga. So that made me really, really uncomfortable, and that kind of it took a very long time to get past um, the sort of place that people put you in when you were younger, because they made you feel like you were ugly or unattractive or undesirable.
Or less than.
Less than, exactly.
Yeah.
It took me making my own work in when I was an adult to really put myself realize that this is even after I discovered the bear community, or the chub community. The fact that I knew that people found me attractive, but that didn't mean that I felt that way about myself, because I still couldn't some really accept it or believe it. And then when I finally started making my own shows, where I put myself in situations where I had to be more of a being which embraced his identity and believed that he was somebody that people would desire. Um, that made me start to believe it for myself and be more confident about how I dressed and how I went out about the world. But it took a lot of people don't get to that point because they don't do that, and they don't know how to do the work, or they don't have the ability to do it because they haven't been given the opportunities to do that work. So it's really hard. I think that I don't think this is a misconception. I think that a lot of people in the bear community are uh, scared to, or find it hard to believe that what they think about others they should think about themselves. So.
Hmm. You know,
Why?
yeah, that's really deep. And, particularly back in the day, the media didn't help. Remember the comedy shows, and when they had, the heavy set
Meathead.
character, right? Yeah, meathead. They would make fun of them, and make them just look miserable and
Mhm.
ridiculous. And unfortunately, I think some of that is still in the heads of people. Those images, those misconceptions, those ideas are hard to get rid of even today. So, yeah.
Yeah. uh, a little bit on the image part, which is the opposite of uh, what some of you experience, is when big guys lose weight,
Mm.
people that fetishize them actually become mean to them because they
Oh,
lost the weight for one reason or another. Many of the reasons are because of health. I have
Right.
a friend of mine that was uh, a big boy. Because of health issues, he lost weight, and he actually got hate from the community, which is the opposite of what you want to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
right.
and it's sad because we want to accept each other for who we are. We
Right.
want to be able to tell people that is the inside of us, that is actually the part that attracts others. But
Mm-hmm.
when you're fetishized, and this happens also with bears of color, that you're fetishized because you're a bear color instead of for who you what you bring into the community.
Mhm.
So, sometimes we have to keep an eye on those things.
Yeah, it's just funny how we make a community to accept people, but we don't accept people in the community. In the
Oh, don't
community.
get me started. I can give you a list.
Look,
Because like I said, I tell people all the time, life is just a bigger high school. It
Oh
just
yes.
clicks. It just clicks everywhere.
Right.
absolutely.
Because you think, okay, when I get out of high school, people gonna be mature. No, people be actually there are more less mature people now than they were in high school.
Absolutely.
So
It's crazy.
yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Um, I'm gonna move to the next question.
Mm.
Is this one to me is probably one of the most important ones, and I want White to get to head this one
Oh God.
because it ties up a lot with the book,
Okay.
and to me is something that was the most impressive part of the book to me. Um, so, what is intimate partner violence in abuse or IPVA,
Mhm.
and how prevalent is in the gay in SGL community? Uh,
Mhm.
what are the types of warning signs?
Excuse me. Got it. Okay. Intimate partner violence and abuse, the acronym is IPVA, is essentially domestic violence and abuse within the LGBTQ plus community. And it's more prevalent than people think. There's so much stigma around it, particularly with gay SGL men, because no man wants anybody to know that his ass has been kicked. So therefore, we, particularly gay SGL men, we don't want to talk about it. It's the elephant in the room, is in the closet. But it's so much more prevalent than people think because as a journalist, I write about it a lot. It's one of the major themes in Shattered. And generally speaking, one in every four LGBTQ plus relationships is abusive in some way. And actually, the figures can be higher depending upon ethnicity, what have you. So, and there are three types. You've got the physical, punching, beating you up. You have the emotional, you've got the mental. And the emotional and the mental can be synergistic because they work together. And sometimes those emotional scars are more difficult to heal than the physical scars, right? So back in the day, really briefly, when I was in college, I was having a severe self-esteem problem and was dealing with being gay, being SGL. So I met a guy. We fell in love. The sex was great. Sex is a great aphrodisiac, but he was
No pun
abusive.
intended.
No pun intended. But he was abusive. So for several years, I was caught in this abusive relationship. 90% of it was emotional, mental, 10% was physical. So I managed to get out of it, and therapy saved my life. It really, really did. I found this good therapist. I healed, accepted my sexual orientation, and embraced it. So I'm a strong advocate, proponent for therapy, whether or not you're depressed or whatever. Sit your ass on the couch and get some help. Lay on the couch and get some help. So, therefore, when I decided to write the Nothing Can Tear Us Apart series of novels, I wanted it to be real. So I said, let me deal with intimate partner violence and abuse. So that's what I did. Um, but IPV is real, particularly in our community.
James?
Um, can you
Yeah.
can you read the full question again? Cause I remember you saying, "Well, the signs." I
Oh, I'm
believe.
sorry. Oh,
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 yes, yes,
I'm so sorry. Can I tell you what the signs are? I don't mean to cut
yes,
you off there.
please.
Okay. The basic sign is you walking on eggshells around your partner. You are afraid that anything you do, anything you say is going to get him upset, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so that's the basic, the umbrella, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got he checking in on you, you know, all the time, wanting to know where you are. It could be, you know, telling you you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't say this, you can't say that,
Right.
controlling your money, controlling how you dress, isolating you from family, friends, that sort of thing, threatening you, you know, let's say you're closeted, threatening to out you. Let's say
Mm-hmm.
you
Oh
have
wow.
yeah. Let's say you have HIV, right? Threatening to, and nobody knows about it. Threatening to out you about that.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Threatening you, your life, the life of your pet, people you know. So it's, you know, it's total control. And you feel like you're walking on eggshells around them.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
I mean, it's from well what I said before in the earlier live screen. Like I said, maybe I haven't never dealt with that, but I know it's like if I see a friend and they're normally bubbly and happy and their mood changes, that can be a sign right there. I have to ask questions because normally you're talking and you're so expressive and that's now you so recluse and stuff like recluse into yourself. That can be a sign right there. Um,
Mhm.
it just in our community is I guess they're not willing to believe us because it's mostly male on male.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, well, y'all men, y'all figure it out, kind of situation. It's like, no, I'm in danger. Even I don't care if you're 7'2". If I'm saying I'm in danger, I need help.
And let me
And
say,
we do. Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
no,
I'm
no,
sorry.
please finish. Go ahead.
I'm about to say most of the time we don't get believed, or the officers walk away from the situation, even with females or women. Excuse me. I'm sorry, women. Um, they're not gonna be believed. Like y'all two women, y'all like what you want us to do about it. Y'all just figure it out and go about your day. You know what I'm saying? So I guess I guess we don't get the same protections as a male and female couple.
And
Thank you.
you're absolutely right. Two big points that I've got to get in. Number one is that anybody, regardless of race, ethnicity, height, weight, social station, can become a victim of intimate partner violence and abuse because when your self esteem is pretty much non existent, you will pretty much take what anybody dishes out to you. And
Mm-hmm.
also, too, you might have come from a family that has a tradition of domestic violence and abuse. Let's say your father beat your mother, or let's say your
Mm-hmm.
father emotionally and mentally abused your mother. You could take that into your adult relationship and become a victim as well.
Yeah.
And about the boys will be boys thing, yeah, basically, men, the cops look at men and say, you know, you should be able to protect yourself. Boys will
Mm-hmm.
be boys. Have to
Mhm.
take this seriously. But that isn't true because abuse is abuse is abuse. But
Mm-hmm.
I will say that research is indicating that the cops are becoming um, a little more understanding about that and realizing that this is abuse. This whole boys can be boys thing is full of shit.
Right. Depending on the state, because the problem is in certain states, conservative states, they actually don't interfere in many. If
Mm-hmm.
you look at the statistics, they tend to be higher in conservative states than they are states like, for example, Washington D.C. that has an LGBTQ unit that deals with domestic violence in the LGBTQ community. So
Mm-hmm.
Right.
those are things that we need to try to implement in other states, but with the state of things right now, that's going to be very hard. But anyway, any Marcus, you have anything to say on this subject or?
Um, just listening to the signs. Um, I'm just kind of looking back on prior relationships, and especially my last one, and I know that I had hints of stuff like that. It was very much on eggshells. I'm a musician, obviously. I go out to sometimes clubs or bars, events, corporate events, um, late nights, you know,
Mm.
absolutely trying to mess up my own day so that I wouldn't have to deal with the argument, the fight, like, 'cause having it there, I've had such amazing events where, this is it, like, amazing accomplishments, and it's just argument, it's tax,
Mm.
and like Jim was saying, I recognized I was dimming, I'm a very outspoken personality, and
Right.
in the middle of me with me, all I needed was to get that one text, you know, and I'm quiet, and I've been fighting the whole thing to try to get back so that A, people don't see, and B,
Mhm.
it doesn't affect my performance. It's too late, you know.
Mhm.
Um, the physical aspects of it, even though you're far away from me, it feels like punching walls in an argument. You're punching the phone, and you know, I can only imagine what's going to happen if me and you are in the same room. There is no phone for you to throw.
Right.
There is no,
Mhm.
like, I'm closer to the wall than the wall is to you. You know,
Right.
I think that just all points out to people sometimes, even before getting into, say, a live-in relationship type of situation, kind of have to evaluate and say, is this what I really? I
Mhm.
recognize it, good, but is this what I really? Do I love them so much that I would try to endure it? Do I think I could change them? Is there how much more of myself can I change so that this doesn't happen? You
Mm.
know, what am I doing wrong? And part of it is esteem. Part of it is background, your response to trauma.
Mhm.
Sometimes because we're dealing with two different people who I have my own triggers, but they have their own. And
Right.
because you're in a relationship doesn't mean everyone's triggers are everyone's responses are fixed. It doesn't mean that therapy is 100% completed in each person. Like, people come in with their own baggage and histories and tendencies and patterns, and you just learn to see, like, some things I could take and something,
Right. Right.
you know. But yeah, it just had me like really um rewinding something. But I'm what you call a gentle. So, like, I don't like violence. I don't like too physical. The only time I've really been physical is on someone else's behalf because,
Mhm.
instead of being jumped or unfairly attacked, like, my body will move first. But when it comes to you and I, like, I don't want to hurt. I would never want to hurt you.
Right. Right.
So please, like, and I've never want to be hurt. So yeah, sometimes it's just being cognizant of, like, who these beautiful people are. These
Mhm.
beautiful looking, you know, talented, passionate people. Are they really? Are they who they display themselves to be? And sometimes accepting that you may be as great as they look, and as far as they might go with their figures, and how much admiration that they might have, or even how much admiration you might have for them, to accept what they can be. This, the good is them,
Mhm.
and the bad is them too.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's just something that just kept running through my mind. So I wasn't gonna say anything, but I actually just decided to
Right.
spill my
Well, thank you for sharing. Joshua.
I think that I'm not an expert by any means on this area, but I think that especially when you're living it, it's so much easier to see physical abuse than it is to see emotional and mental abuse.
Yes.
And I think that I think the way that this sort of thing manifested in my relationships in the past is a sense of diminishing myself uh,
Mm.
and minimizing who I am to because I feel I'm made to feel guilty or embarrassed or bad about the accomplishments that I've made in my life or that I have,
Mhm.
and that the person that I'm with doesn't have those, and it's not something that I care about, and that because I'm with this person, but they are in a way of they have a way of making you feel terrible about it, and you they need to find ways to put you down to make themselves feel better.
Feel better. Yeah.
Right.
You find out how you feel like you start to carry this then into your everyday life. I still do this with friends sometimes. I find myself pretending, oh, I have no idea what this is. What are you talking about? When I know
Right.
very well what it is, and I know, but I
Mhm.
feel like if I can come across as less educated on this subject or needing them in some way, then it makes me valuable or something they want to keep around or someone they can at least that makes them feel good about themselves in that way. And so it's for me, it's a lot. It was a lot harder to spot these kinds of things because I think mental and emotional abuse is it's so hard to see the difference between what's a friend teasing you and what's a
Mhm.
friend making you feel like you should be grateful that they have you in their lives.
Yep.
Mhm.
And sometimes certain partners that abuse you mentally and emotionally don't do it in front of others.
Right.
So
Right.
it's a silent killer per se, because other people don't see it right away.
Hmm.
Some people get to notice, like James was saying, that you notice that the person's uh, bubbliness or personality is different, but sometimes you don't get to see those signs.
Hmm.
Right.
Like when I was in the relationship, um, where I was mentally abused, the person would first of all wouldn't do it in front of of my friends, and it basically was like, you shouldn't be eating that, or uh, why are we going to meet the guys in this place? I want you to stay here. I don't want you seeing this person because I don't trust them, or you know
Mhm.
uh, there's many signs sometimes that we miss, including ourselves, because sometimes we have blinders on.
Mhm.
uh, but the main thing is, once you recognize the signs, don't be afraid to ask for help,
Hmm.
because first of all, you need to get out of that relationship, and be able to find a way to heal yourself through, just like Wyatt was saying, therapy is very important. We just went through COVID for the last 2.5 years, and many partners were basically trapped
Hmm.
inside
Oh yeah.
with their abusers.
hmm
And once the COVID gates have opened, many people are still being abused that
Mhm.
have not been able to move forward. And we need to be able to find a way to move forward. And if you feel that you need to say something to someone, say something to someone. If you need to stay with someone to feel safe, don't be afraid to reach out, because your friends, if they're really your friends, they will help you. And
Right.
Mhm.
if you're afraid of starting over, there's never a late time to start over,
Hmm.
Right.
Mhm.
because your safety is more important than anything else. And again, thank you, Wyatt, for putting that in your book, because, like I said, I was at points I had to put the book down because I was seeing certain things that happened to me in the past,
Mhm.
and you captured it perfectly.
Well, we got time for one more question. And I also want to thank the chat. The chat been going off over here. You know what I'm saying? Congratulations to Wyatt. Uh, they loving our guests that came on. One comment said, "Marcus, you can sing." So I guess she went to your page and saw what you did, and she had to comment that. So
See?
There you go.
okay,
All right.
but we got time for one more question, and we let our beautiful guests go on with their day, and we can go to the next segment.
Okay. Can you give us an example of a time when your personally struggled with positivity, and how did you overcome it?
Ooh.
Oh, that's easy for me. High school. High school was the worst place.
Yeah, I
High
know.
school was the worst place because, like I said, kids don't know when to stop.
Mhm.
Like I said, hey, you don't know who's your friend, who like somebody said, you don't know who if they're teasing you. I think it was Joshua. You don't know if they were teasing you or not, or they were bullying you. Cause like I said, there's different layers to it. Some like shade,
Mhm.
for instance,
Yes.
like being shady, like or a backhanded compliment, like were you trying to compliment me or were you trying? But how I overcame it is basically um it's well I can't say the sites, but certain sites
Mhm.
help me like representation basically.
Mhm.
It like going on the web, find out that oh, there are people that got my same body type and my same skin color and my same quirkiness,
Mhm.
and they're making money
Mm-hmm.
and they're loving themselves and flaunting themselves freely into the world and not caring what everybody say. But like I said, it wasn't no overnight thing, but it was good to see people who look like me. And the biggest thing about this whole subject matter, this whole live stream, is not being alone about body type, abuse, anything. You know that you're not alone and you're not suffering with this alone. You get your courage to move forward.
Awesome.
Mhm.
Um,
Who's
I
next?
would say,
I'll take it.
okay.
For me, it was junior high, the high school, the whole puberty thing.
Child,
You know,
this
that
confidence
was
destroyers.
uh, that was just difficult for me because I was really thin back then, so I didn't really get the muscle. I didn't fill out, and
Mhm.
you had other boys really big and you know thick and nice, and I'm just saying, oh my god, So I was really insecure. So yeah,
Mhm.
I don't like to think about that.
Next.
I would say two things quickly. One was I'm a singer. I'm an artist now, but I largely contribute that to Ruben Studdard winning American Idol.
Oh,
Oh,
Now, talk about representation.
right.
I'm a big little fat boy. I'm watching this with my family, and he's up against Paul Aiken. He is a skinny, tall, white kid, and he can sing, and they can both sing, and
mm,
you know, and no shade to play. I think because the gay rumors were out there right before he was supposed to win, or it seemed like he was going to win. I think that
mhm.
kind of hung it because at that time it still wasn't like it was cool. Um,
Right.
but to see Ruben Studdard his joy every week to sing, sweating down the stage, but to see him sing and to explode with this joy of music and for him to win it, I cried. I remember I cried, and even now, like it touches an emotional part, and you say like, "Wow, he did that." People voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like it wasn't just his talent that allowed him to win. Like people saw him and said, "Yes," they chose him too. And I remember thinking like, maybe I could do this too.
And
So,
you can.
and many
And
years
you
later,
damn can.
you know what I'm saying? And outside of that, my adult years and in the way it like changed, I recognized I was attracted to men who were of size, but for some reason I couldn't get over the fact that when I looked at myself in my size, I couldn't. It was like a disconnect. Why is it that I can look at myself and nitpick and screw my face and have such things to say in my mind about myself? I say, and look at someone else who can have a very similar body type and say,
Right.
And when I recognized that at some point, I had to figure out what to do. So how I tried to reconcile that is, I'm going to be very candid. Like, I took a lot of pictures, and at first it was very uncomfortable. It was very uncomfortable because I mean, like you see yourself, when you go to the shower in a mirror, or you get dressed and look at yourself in the mirror, and you're used to that. But to see certain angles of yourself in picture and still picture, and be like, oh no,
Yeah.
at some point, I found myself being like, actually, that was nice. I was like,
Right.
I mean, like, I actually like my shoulders. I
Right.
kind of have like football player shoulders. Like, I don't like, and at first it's like, I felt like maybe I was making fun of myself. But really, I was finding things about myself and actually erasing some of the negativity that I would put out against myself and replacing it with something actually kind of positive. Like, you know what? I do like my nose.
Right.
I don't know. And then it's like,
Don't ever change it like Michael Jackson, please.
No.
Thank you.
and over time, I felt a real appreciation for my own self. Like, yes, I am however much I weigh. I am of this size. Yes, some seats are hard to get into. It's what it is, what it is, what it is.
Right.
But I also always get to see the front seat, which is awesome. I mean, like, you turn the negative stuff into like,
Right.
people move out of my way instead of
Mhm.
moving out of people's way. I walk and people go, I said,
Right.
Like, bitch, out my way.
Yeah, and then at some point it's just like it just goes into more. One day I took a picture and I remember thinking, "Wow, that's me." You know what I'm saying? Like, and
I'm large and in charge, bitch.
yeah, and maybe that was a moment where it actually clicked. Like, I think I got something,
Yep.
and from there it just blossomed.
There you go, Joshua.
Yeah, I would say for me, the hard part or the hard period was from about 6 years old to 33. So it was a very short time in my life. But no, I mean, just like Marcos was saying, I mean, I found a community of people that I found attractive, that in theory found me attractive, and I just it didn't connect in my head that I was that I could also be attractive and everything. I mean, I did have an ex who told me that I would never be sexy. I could never be
Oh
considered sexy.
Jesus!
The most I would ever be was cute, and cute's great. I don't mind
I'll
cute.
take you.
I'll take it. But I also really internalized the idea that I would not ever be something some people would call sexy, and so that was stuff that I lived with me for a very long time, and then I got over that because I wrote and directed my own TV series where I had to put myself in my underwear a lot. Well, I didn't have to. I ended up putting myself in my underwear a lot.
Okay.
and I started to just really get comfortable with that. I mean, I was the kind of person that wouldn't take my shirt off at the beach. Not that I go to the beach very often, because I will turn into a lobster because the sun and I do not agree. But otherwise, when like I would never take my, I would wear a shirt in the pool or something. And then after I mean, I was 33, 34 years old when this was happening, and I was like, you know what? I can walk around the beach with my shirt off and lots of sunscreen on, but my shirt off, and
Mhm.
I feel okay. I'm comfortable with who I am, and I'm comfortable with being in that situation. And I can change in front of other actors and not feel awkward because, but it took a long time, and it really took
Mhm.
me um, taking ownership and charge of my own life, and creating my own work that put me in a place where no one else was, because you don't really see, you still don't really see that, you don't see plus size men and women, or non-binary folk in relationships on television where they are shirtless or in sexual scenarios. I mean, if you think about Mike and Molly, the
Yep.
two
Oh yeah.
leads in that, they were in bed together, but they were just lying there talking. They never had any sort of sexual relationship. You never saw
Right.
either of them in any sort of like lingerie
Right.
or anything. Same
Very
thing.
I
Well,
love Lucy.
yeah,
Yep.
it was very I Love Lucy.
Really
Yeah,
have
it
that
was basically,
concept.
it's very much so. Just the
Yep.
same bed. That's the only difference, is they had the same bed.
Right.
Yep. We
But
have to thank people like Rihanna for putting big
Baby.
men
Baby.
in sexy outfits. Trying
absolutely.
also Lizzo.
I
Yeah.
Lizzo
Yep.
has,
oh yes.
we have to give them to them for giving us a platform to be able to let go of our inhibitions and find that we are also sexy,
Hmm.
and we have to be able to find ourselves sexy, because the problem is we're our worst critics sometimes.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
We
That's for sure.
have to be able
Very
to
true.
let go and allow ourselves to be loved by the ones that loved us.
Yes.
Also, just like a friend of mine says, find your joy.
Hmm.
Right.
The joy sometimes come from within, and once you're happy within, it radiates outside, and it helps to bring the good things to your life,
Hmm.
like all of you.
Oh.
Thank you.
well, 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 that's the end of this segment. I want to thank our guests for coming on.
Mhm.
Y'all did great. Like I said, I'll talk to you guys later. I know, Joshua, you have somewhere to go, so I know you got to leave. So, like I said, thank you again, and we talk to you guys later.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
guys.
Thank you.
So glad
And
to be
also,
here.
Wyatt,
Love you, mean it.
Thanks.
congrats, brother.
There we go. All right.
All
All
right.
right, gentlemen. I hope this was acceptable, and I really thank you for allowing me to be part of this. Wyatt, you done great. I hope, because I noticed that one of the questions was, uh, why did you write it in a screenplay format? I
Mhm.
hope that someone picks it up and does something great with it, because you deserve it. Yeah, I think
Mhm.
you've done a great job, and I am so happy to have been part of it.
Well, I really thank you guys. Oh, first of all, we have contest winners, the Shattered contest, and the question was monogamy or an open relationship. Which do you prefer and why? And the winners are da, 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 Alvin Taylor and Robert A. Carl. So look, guys, you must email me your address so that I can send you autographed copies of Shattered. You'll also get renditions of Wesley Antonio by the very, very popular gay bear artist Don Chewy. So get me them addresses so I can get you your stuff.
All right. Well, like I said, this last portion, Wyatt gonna read a little insert of his book, so y'all can get a little taste.
Okay, so look, this is what we're gonna do. Here's the book. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read two. I'm in a sexual state of mind right now, so I'm gonna read something soft and something a little harsher. Okay, so here's the deal. You know, Wesley and Tonio are in a monogamous relationship. Wesley is a black entrepreneur, celebrity, openly gay. He meets Tonio for the very first time when he's interviewing candidates for his chief of security position. So here we go. All right. Rios, in his very early 30s, was a fucking sight to behold. A ruggedly handsome Puerto Rican brick house. He was 6'4", 280 muscularly immense pounds. Massively built and exquisitely proportioned, Rios was without a shadow of a doubt a bodybuilder's bodybuilder. Powerful wide neck, barn door shoulders, bowling ball biceps, horseshoe triceps, chiseled, expansive, impeccable pecs, a narrow, firm waist. And the way his jeans fit, damn, I could detect that he owned giant glutes and calves, and gleefully something else. Something else indeed. Now, the stud was clad in black shirt, jazzy but tasteful tie, form-fitting jeans, and kick-ass cowboy boots. Masculinity with touches of sensitivity oozed out of him. I was knocked out, which usually doesn't happen often. I felt I was losing control, and I had to regain it like yesterday. It's a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Kelly. Rio smiled broadly. His 100-watt grin could have lit up all of Washington, D.C. Immediately extending his power-packed mitt, he said, "Thanks so much for this opportunity." The stud had this syrupy, sensual low baritone with a full heaping helping of Latin accents stirred in for good measure. And his eyes, a liquid blue-green, they appeared to be as endless as an ocean sucking you right in. They peered deep inside, searching for the real you. I swore they seemed to have a life all of their own. Now, Rios had a caramel-tinged complexion and short, curly, jet black hair. His sideburns connected to a neatly trimmed goatee that merged into his stash. He had these full lips which begged you to kiss them. Good golly, Miss Molly. And his hand clasp, Jesus, it was warm and so supremely confident. Well manicured, those hands were like meat cleavers, so thick, so sturdy, so powerful. His touch, his grasp made my whole freaking body tingle through and through. Nobody, and I do mean nobody, had touched me that way in what seemed like fucking eons. And then without warning, our eyes seemed to zoom into each other like heat-seeking missiles. After reaching their destination, they settled into the lockdown position. And suddenly, that old magical thing called chemistry burst forth, spinning around and engulfing us. The sensation was electric, hard-hitting, exciting, though downright scary. It was as if Big Man and I had tucked ourselves away in our own secluded, far-flung universe. Hey, remember that song, Just Don't Disturb This Groove? Well, let me tell y'all, this was it. So that's when Tonio and Wes first met. Mm-hmm. Now, I am going to get kind of nasty here because I'm in a nasty frame of mind.
Ooh.
Okay, so back in the day,
Mhm.
back in the day, before Wes meets Tonio, he meets Quarlo. Quarlo is a big boy bear. He's like 6'1", 275 pounds. He's Latino. He's like this big, thick, juicy slab of prime primo beef, and he's in the leather. So anyway, Wes and Quarlo meet in a comedy club when they were doing stand-up. They were both attracted. Wes was with a woman at the time, so he didn't want to cheat, but he couldn't help himself. So one night when the club was closing and Gabby, the woman that Wes was in a relationship, wasn't there, he tells Wes, listen, in 5 minutes, meet me in this restroom that is not used very often, that's secluded. I got the key, and let's have some fun. So here we go.
Y'all prepare yourself now. I was saying, y'all prepare yourself.
Prepare, yes. So anyway, here we go. Wes is rapping on the door. Rap, rap, rap. Quarlo pulls him in. The lock goes clickety, click, click, click. So here we go. This is Quarlo. Told you I had something to show you. Ain't that the truth? Quarlo was buck naked from the waist down and kept his black work boots on, smoking, sizzling, hot. Well, squeeze my fucking ass. Damn it, dude. Wes's quivering, moist mitts explored that furry basketball ass, palming, pumping, plundering. That ass was indeed a treasure to drool over. The beside bro also was in awe of Quarlo's enormously shaped hairy thighs and calves. Hey, spanky spank if you want. Sometimes I like it hard and nasty. That's why I wanted our first encounter up in here. Motherfucker, you knows you want it. Sometimes I like it hard and nasty. And you know what? Most importantly, I want you to have it. Quarlo broke out into a huge smile. And without missing a beat, Quarlo pushed the overheated Wes back against the wall, thrusting his sultry tongue deep inside a willing, welcoming mouth overflowing with saliva. And they did the old bump and grind. Oh my God. Mr. Big Boy Bear's minty fresh breath was a pleasant surprise for Wes, and Quarlo's combined musk and sweat crafted one hell of a masculine odor that swirled straight up Wes's nostrils. The eye-popping, exhilarating scent made Wes tumble even further into the chasm of sensuality. Damn, Wes. You got one fat dick with a nice mushroom head, and it's freaking leaking. Panting, Mr. Big Boy Bear sucked on his bottom lip. Hey, I'm sure you know how to use it too. Intensely giddy, he inspected the powerful turbo missile he just released, poised to find his designated target. Meanwhile, Mr. Big Boy Bear's heated, velvety, dreamy caresses and strokes caused Wes to swoon. Think of Tony Braxton's classic pop hit, You're Making Me High. Hey, time for a taste test. Mr. Big Boy Bear swooped down in the blink of an eye, gobbling up the ripe and ready sausage to his root. God, fuck! As Wes emitted a near silent scream, he surveyed the feverish oral actions and orchestrations which made his eyes bulk and bulge. Hell yeah. Quarlo's extraordinarily exquisite sucking and suction skills were otherworldly. Yeah, big boy, fucking swallow that motherfucker. It's been way too long. And at some point, Mr. Big Boy Bear stopped his slobbering, wiped the spit trickling and oozing down the corners of his well-used mouth, and he licked his juicy lips. What a sumptuous meal, my brother. Lord, the sucker was like a pig whose hunger had been satiated. On your feet, Q. I gotta have that fat, beefy ass you've been teasing me with. Wes, nearly dripping wet, smacked Q's bulbous butt. Next, he snatched off his shirt yanked down his jeans and breached his ankles, forcefully spun his partner around and slapped that ass of plenty one more time for good measure. And in one seemingly long, fluid motion, the thirsty and hungry man dropped to his knees like it was hot, parted the fluffy but milk chocolate cakes, and spat directly into the center of its cherry hole. And the cherry picking began. Fucking amen, Lord, your mouth is fucking glued to my manhole. Nobody's eat me like this in what seems like forever. Nobody, what the fuck are you doing to me? Q was moaning, groaning, and doing the shake, rattle, and roll. Concurrently, Wes's juicy tongue darted in and out, slithering and snaking as far up as humanly possible. The sweet nectar was an exotic delicacy so sublime that it spurred, no compelled the bro to munch on the tart, tangy, and funky sweet candy hole to no end. Hey, it's time. Enough of this fucking foreplay. Immediately, Quarlo bent over ever so slightly and planted his outsized hands securely on the wall. He parted his legs, reminiscent of sturdy oak trees planted firmly into the ground. Seconds later, Wes carefully and strategically launched his rocket assault straight at and into the designated target. Mm. There's so much more. You got to buy the book and read it.
All right. So everybody put their napkins and rags away. But yeah. This was an amazing live stream.
Thank you.
Like I said, I'm so glad that we could able to get them Marcus and Joshua on here. They are amazing people with great talent, so please check them out. And like I said, Wise Book is now on Amazon. So I say get the 2-day delivery or the 1-day delivery. Go and get that book. Go and get your candles, get your drink, sit down and have yourself a good time.
And visit WyattEvans.com, please.
All right. And visit the bearsnetwork.com.
Exactly.
To get your fix. So thank everybody. Thank everybody in the comments for showing up. And like I said, we'll see y'all guys next time with Wyatt's next book. So
James, Ali, thank you. Thank you, everybody that tuned in. I greatly appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.